Hello, it is Monday night. How is everyone doing? It's been a pretty decent bounce in crypto this weekend. Not enough, unfortunately, to confirm it as a bottom, but a pretty decent bounce and at really interesting levels. And the more kind of small altcoins that I looked at, there are literally really big potential for big ABC corrections everywhere that I look, and in quite a range of markets. Of course, everyone is still completely fascinated by meme coins. I think I tweeted that there were over 50,000 meme coins created on Friday, which is one day at Pump Fun. And that is really too many coins to scan and screen, you know. And I understand why these centralized exchanges is having so much trouble screening them and deciding which ones to list. In fact, I think most of them, the way it's going, are not going to get listed. Which means if you're going to buy and sell one on, Pump, if you're going to buy one, on Phantom or one of these Solana shit coins, you are likely never to get it on a centralized exchange the way it's going, or very, very few of them. I'm going to say it again, these coins are just scalps. If somebody you follow and that's interesting, or you see somebody mention one that's interesting, by all means jump in, but it's a scalp trade. That means your job is to get out before everybody else does. And while it's not before it crashes down on your head, they're not investments. Can they make you great money and they're good fun? They absolutely are. Even it's really obvious now that, the centralized exchanges are missing out. So Binance have moved into BNB chain on meme coins. They have it's called 4meme. 4meme you can launch is a launch platform for the BNB chain if you want to do it there. So, it's growing. Everyone has been talking this weekend as well about Dave Portnoy, who is the stool guy. He's really the pizza guy and the sports betting, and he's got a stocks thing. And he tweeted on Friday about meme coins, and he said if I tweet about, he's got 3.5 million followers on Twitter, and he said if he tweeted about a coin and he did it twice a day, he can turn 10 grand into 75 grand every time. And he basically said, can you go to jail for this? How can I not do this if it's legal and I tell everyone what I'm doing? So he was basically telling everyone what he was doing, and that's what he did. And all of a sudden, people are creating meme coins based around his name, and people are, saying he's scamming people. And, I don't think anyone's got anything to complain about. Like, why are you following him and buying meme coins he mentions? The whole point is, he says he's doing it, it's going to go up, it goes up, and then you sell it. You got to sell it with him, and, that's the game. So yeah, there you go. I think at some point, there are so many meme coins being created that it's, not going to be possible to do kind of technical analysis on them. And I think at some point it's going to implode. There will be saturation and too many. For now though, game's still on, but if you're one of the people in the Trump coin, this is still in a really nasty downtrend, still, creeping lower. It's at 16 from a high up here of 76. So that's where we are with Trump coin. So for me, let's start with Bitcoin. So today we had a pretty decent rally in stock indexes. The stock index that's most correlated with Bitcoin is the NASDAQ. If we take a look at the NASDAQ, you can see that we are also in this pretty nasty sideways range. But this was a huge up day, bouncing from these daily moving averages and pushing to the top of this consolidation range. One thing when you draw a triangle or a tightening pattern like this one is remember that very often this is an ABC three-wave measured move. And so if we were to do that here from this low to this high, and this, we're going to do that just ABC equal measured move, you can see how this is going to look like a false breakout. But it's not a false break, it's just an ABC. So quite often, you kind of be a little bit careful with this level that you call a breakout, because we could just get to this ABC level and then do another swing lower from here. And so if we measure that equal measured move level from low to high, get the price and the NASDAQ up here, 22,163. For me, that's kind of the level that we really need to push above. Otherwise, we've just made a three-wave correction and we're going to see another leg lower. And whilst we are in this sideways range that really we've been in since the middle of December, this could continue for the whole of the first quarter, which means into March. And we are only, at the 10th of February now. So that's where we are with these stock indexes. And Bitcoin, as you can see, is desperately underperforming. We have not regained these daily moving averages, which are flat, which means we've got no trend and we're going sideways. And we're not kind of pushing up against the highs of this sideways range. I had been looking for this to do what now the NASDAQ is doing, with a big kind of ABC kind of equal measured move. That would be pretty nice. We could get all the way up here. This kind of pivot level here in the middle is 100,000, just over 100,000. We could get back up to the range highs, but we really are a little bit stuck here and underperforming. And that's unusual because normally Bitcoin outperforms stock indexes as kind of leading indicator for risk appetite, rather than, kind of follow on. Now, it will stay holding up, going sideways, as long as the NASDAQ does, but it's underperforming. And that always makes me say, be a little bit careful, because if it's lagging when the NASDAQ turns lower, so it's worth keeping an eye on it, then so likely will Bitcoin. And there is quite a strong pivot level through the middle here in these chart from these highs and lows. You can see it here, and it is pretty much just 100,000 level, so 99,000 and change. And so really kind of getting above that 100,000 level and clearing and holding above these daily moving averages are what we need to see for this three-wave correction to be over, and we are pushing higher in Bitcoin. And if you think Bitcoin is underperforming, then ETH is really underperforming, unfortunately. Still sideways at these lows. I still think all of these should give us a big kind of three-wave correction, and we should see another swing higher. And I think this is setting up, but just be aware that this is underperforming. So looking pretty good for a push higher at the moment. If I put my Heikin Ash in, we haven't even got green in this. Look how long we've been going sideways, even with this really decent bounce, So for me, this isn't kind of one that I'm rushing into. There's a massive short position in ETH futures, apparently. Eventually, at some point, we will see this make a break, but for me, hasn't quite, there's still, here we are in the middle. So we had this really nasty drop on the tariffs, really big bounce, and here we are kind of flagging sideways, really kind of not going anywhere. And I always don't like to diddle in the middle, because there is a risk, that we could just retest these lows or something like this before we make a bottom. So I'm still being a little bit careful. We could say above that hourly, if this is a 4-hour 50, so above that daily 100 moving average maybe. And if we call this a little bit of a channel, break of the highs of this channel, we could say, okay, next leg higher under the way, but we're not quite there yet, are we? We are still really trading sideways in this channel. So if you were interested in doing that and buying it, if it were to break higher, you could put an alert on there, and if it does, you can even look at it on a low time frame and look for a little breakout, pull back and hold it and turn higher. But that's how I'm kind of really seeing Bitcoin and ETH at the moment. So last longer video that I did, I talked about the really kind of interesting bullish ABC pattern that we have got going on in Doge. So let's talk about that. So in Doge, we had this really bullish, I'm always looking for these zigzags or equal measured moves, and here in Doge that's what we had. So we had two equal swings lower back to this weekly 50 moving average and back to these swing highs. Really kind of interesting level. And when you do a big ABC correction like this, for me, I put my fib retrace levels over both swings, and if we get above the 236 fib, I would say that we've bottomed and we're going to see a bigger bounce from here. And that also, if you're speculatively buying that, that 236 becomes your first target, which is here at 0.268, and we're not quite there yet. If we look where we are on the hourly or 4 hourly, we're still kind of going sideways, and really it's not clear, you know, that we're going up yet. We've got a little bit of a double bottom over the weekend. So Friday, this was the low, and this was the low that we retested late Sunday night. And you know, when you've got a little bit of a double bottom thing going on, you could say, well, if we break above these highs, perhaps this is this push up, and we could, you know, risk maybe a little bit more that we are going higher, but really we're kind of flattening out and going sideways. And I think once we get money out of the way, we'll see which way the broader market is going to go from here in Doge. But what I found quite interesting is this big ABC equal measured move, let me take this away, is pretty much everywhere. So look, here, that's what I mean by this. Here's this lovely equal measured move that we bounced from. And when I say everywhere, I mean there's a lot of charts with this same potential bullish pattern on. So let's look at some of them. So Pepe is a good one, because this is another meme. So if I measure from the high that we made on the 9th of December to this low here, mid-December, here's a 3-wave correction in the middle, and here's a lovely C-leg with 5 waves. Equal measured move is where we bounce from exactly in Pepe. If I go to the weekly, we're unlike Doge, we're underneath this weekly 50 moving average, which really this market hasn't paid that much attention to before. So I'm not going to say, well, that invalidates it, but I would like to see us above this weekly high and back above that weekly 50, and that would be pretty bullish, and say that the bottom potentially is in for Pepe. So if we look on the lower time frames, we're in the same thing. We've kind of flattened out, and we're in the middle here. And again, you know, crypto loves to make big double bottoms or retest the lows. There is the potential that we come back and we retest this low down here in Pepe at 7936, I think is the low. So I would be much more bullish if we if we retested this and then had a really strong bounce from it. I would think that would be a very good look. But there are so many I can find this pattern in. Let's take a look at some more of them. For example, stuff does look like it's starting to turn up, and maybe because everybody's given up. So here in ADA, this is ADA Cardano weekly chart, bouncing from the weekly 50 moving average, but again from the beginning of December high to this low we made on the 9th of December, projected from here. So these two swings are equal. If we look under the hood here on the daily, you can see it exactly, and this is the daily 200 moving average. This is a really bullish place to bounce from. An equal measured move back to the daily 200 moving average is really bullish. A really bullish pattern if it works. Again, we need to get back above this daily 20 moving average, back above this low. It would be really confirmed if we get back above 0.818 in ADA, and here we are in the middle. And the risk here in the middle is that we might retest this low first before we do this, or are we just going to go up from here, or maybe we're going to do this. You know, we could go sideways, but this in this area here, so 0.6 in ADA, is a really good place to buy if it dips back into and finds support. And this pattern is everywhere. This is Avalanche. Not only have we got potentially a big ABC, but here from the high again, beginning of December in Avax, equal measured move, that's where we're trying to bounce from. We're underneath these moving averages. It's pretty flattened out. But this also has made this equal measured move pattern. And it's not just, I'm going to look at, I'll show you some more of them. Even kind of old school stuff. Let's look. Here's one. Actually, this is not Monero. It's not bullish, but it is a really bullish chart pattern. Okay, because here's the kind of good rule. When you make a big equal measure move, so from the low when we started in 2014 to this high in 2018 and from here. This was a big ABC equal measured move in Monero. And when you make a big ABC move, the most common retrace when you reverse an equal measured move is a 786. So all of those down patterns that we've seen with big ABC moves, the most common retrace is going to be 786 from this high to this low. If we do bottom and we confirm it, then you buy pullbacks and that's your first target. And this is what we've done in reverse here in Monero. So we've got a big ABC equal measured move. We've pulled back to this 786 fib level. This is a weekly chart, so this is 2022. This was the lows that we made last year, March, April. In this one, and when you reverse at a 786 fib, here's the rules. If you get above the 61.8, your first minimum target is the 38.2, which would put you up here. So we have got above our confirmation level here, which is the 61.8 at 197. This is a weekly we're looking at. This is where our weekly 20 moving averages as well. So we can say in this Monero, as long as we hold above 197, for me, fib pattern terms, we should continue higher. We'll have a wobble at maybe 258, but the first minimum target is 319, which is pretty nice because we're here at what, 224? So, like I know, it's been pretty brutal in a lot of coins. And when we look at this, on the daily here, you can see that this 61.8 at 197 has been really good support. That's where we're bouncing from. And now we're in this really nice kind of tightening little pattern going on here. And I'm looking for a breakout higher in Monero. And then we are consolidating a little bit sideways here. But for me, this is a really bullish pattern and this has more upside. And if you look, when we're in an uptrend, look at how we hold this daily 20 moving average. Today, we've just broken above this. So short term, in the middle here, this is where we're wrong, underneath 219. From here, as long as we hold above 219 on lower time frames, I'm looking for us to test the top of this consolidation tightening pattern. And if we break out, again, 258 and then 319 are the targets for Monero. So there are quite a few decent bullish patterns. Now, a lot of people say, oh, well, they've just picked selected ones. Okay, here's a really interesting chart. Let's go back to the beginning here. This chart is called Others on TradingView. This is the crypto total market cap excluding the top 10. So that's a pretty broad index, isn't it, of smaller cryptos. And if we take a look at what we did here, we did a very nice three-wave pattern and then up we went. And here we've done it again. Very nice, equal three-wave correction. This is a weekly chart. So if I measure from the high beginning of December to this low from here, you can see we're bouncing from a very nice equal measured move. We're holding above the weekly 200 moving average. At the moment, we're a little bit stuck underneath this weekly 15. Remember, this is an index of others. This is not anything that can be manipulated. So these work pretty well. And you can see that this 50 is pretty interesting support and resistance. I think if we get above this, or if we get above a 236 fib retrace from this big high to low, remember, if you do an equal measured move pattern like this, and you bottom and reverse, you're the most common target you get to is a 786. So that would be a pretty decent bounce in altcoins. Now, if I put my fib retrace levels on from this high to low, let's make it a darker color. Don't know what screen you're watching on. So you can see that this is 273 is this 236 fib level and the weekly 50 moving average that we need to get above. And if we do and we bottom, then we should see a broader based move higher in all altcoins. And that kind of fits where we are because we've had a really good bounce off the lows, but it hasn't quite confirmed as a reversal yet. So 273 in this others index is the level I'm watching for, and then we should see a broader based altcoin rally from here. And to be honest, sentiment is so horrible, people are so depressed with these moves that we've had. This kind of fits, you know, when sentiment gets this bad, we tend to see a decent move. So I'm looking for a close and hold above 273. We should get all the way up to 400. It's not going to be in a straight line, remember. There'll be pullbacks. But that's what I'm looking at in this others chart. Okay, so let's look at a few more interesting charts that have potentially bullish patterns if we can reverse. So let's add some ready. Let's say TRX, there's a good one. If we take a look at TRX, this is a weekly chart. What I really like about this one is how we have pulled back to this big weekly 20 moving average. This weekly 20 moving average is a really good trend support. You can see if we go all the way back to 2023, every time we pull back in this, and this is a really trendy market, we found support and made a new high, found support and made a new high, and we've kept doing it. And here we have done it again. We pulled all the way back to this weekly 20 moving average, found support, and it looks to me like we're turning higher again. Now, this is one where I can't quite, this is very choppy, I can't quite see the three waves kind of zigzag that I'm looking for, but it's clear in trying to bounce here. Since we got underneath this, I've gone down to a daily time frame. Every time we've tried to bounce this daily 50 moving average, which is just as good support and resistance if we look left, has capped us. So we tried since the start of the year, we've tried 4 or 5 times to get above this daily 50 moving average and haven't been able to do it. And here we are trying again today, and this will be the first time in a month if we can close above it. Now we're right at it now. This may mean that we fail here and we continue lower. You know, we may not quite be done yet, but this is one that I'm watching. We could also, you know, people who draw trend lines, we could draw a trend line from this high. We might even be able to draw it from this one. Not so pretty, is it? For me, when I'm kind of not sure, if we do break above this daily 50 moving average, my first target, as you know, from this high to this low is going to be the 236 foot. So that would be also pretty interesting support and resistance at 0.259. So above the daily 50 would be really cool. First target then 0.259, but if we can close above that, we are bouncing and we're on our way up again in TRX. So let's look at some more and some just kind of really diverse ones. So here's a good one, Render. This is another one. This is a weekly chart. I'm going to tidy up. So if we look at the high that we made in the beginning of December, in this one, we've done another one of those 3-wave equal measured move back to the weekly 200 moving average. First time we've tagged it because it's new. And it's also kind of a bit of a double bottomy look. It's also this swing low, you know, back to previous swing lows and swing highs. Oh, it's really good support and resistance. So for me, this level here in Render from this low here at basically 3.5, 3.45 is really interesting support and resistance that we're bouncing from. And this here is a 3-wave equal measured move. It's also one of those swing failure patterns where we've tested this low, marginal new low, and we are reversing. So in Render, when I'm going to go down to the daily. So we know we're bouncing from this weekly 200 moving average. We know we've made an equal measured move. So for me, I'm going to measure from this high to this low. So my first target, and we need to get above to confirm that we've bottomed. For now, this is just a bounce. But 5.31 and is the daily 20 moving average, which was resistance before, is basically tough resistance that we need to get above. And this 236 fib. So that's the first target. And above that, we're going to see more upside. And again, because this is a big 3-wave measured move, if we can hold above 5.3, in terms of trend trading, our first target is going to be this 786 fib up here at 10. So where are we now? We're at 4.4. So that's a pretty nice trend setup. Again, it's valid only if we get above this 5.3 level. And it's really, again, here we are in the middle, and I kind of, am I rushing to buy here? No, I have to say, look, I can't say it, don't diddle in the middle. Like, you either bought the spike down now, because from this low over the weekend, this is Friday, we could have just made a 3-wave move here. So this would be our first swing lower bounce, and we could do another big swing lower and retest the lows. Like, we're not holding above these 4-hour moving averages. It's really not clear yet. If we were to put that on the hourly, that would be the hourly 200 moving average. We're kind of having a little bit, are we going up? Are we not going up? And you can see this hourly 200 moving average is the king of this hourly chart. When we tried this before, at the end of January, this 200 moving average on the hourly kicked us back every time we were underneath it. Here we are back to it for the first time. We could very easily see another leg lower in this render chart and retest these lows down here at 3.29. But if they hold, because of the setup, because of the pattern, I think it's a really good one if it does. So, there are lots of these patterns that I've just picked out a random bunch of them, so I'm stalking them. So Uni, here's one, this one, let's see, Uniswap is a good one. This is another one. This chart likes 3-wave measured moves really nicely, all the way back from the low in 2022. 3-wave measured move, up we went, 3-wave measured move, retrace with this 3-wave measured move, up we went, and here we've done another one, 3-wave equal measured move. Again, in Uniswap, if I measure from this high to this low, project it from here, that equal measured move is exactly where we're bouncing from. We've got a very similar problem to a few charts that we are underneath these weekly moving averages, and they're flat, and so it's quite possible that we could do a typical kind of crypto retest of the lows. It's not completely clear that we're going up again yet. If I go down a time frame to the daily, you can see that we're a little bit underneath this daily 200 moving average, and you can see previously it's been really good support and resistance. If we get above that 200 moving average, this 236 fib level for me is going to be the key. We need to hold above that, and that is at 9.91. And because this is a dead equal measured move, if we can hold above 9.91 off it, we really should get up here to 16.8, which is the 786 fib. We're going to go level to level to level, but that's what I am looking at in Uniswap. And again, we might not get above this first time. We might fail and do another leg lower. We might even do a double bottom and retest the lows until we get above 9.91. We're building a base and a little bit sideways, and so I'm being a little bit cautious, but there are, don't, give up. But there are some really potentially good bullish patterns out there, and that's what I am watching. And the other thing I'm pretty excited about is it looks to me like potentially the dollar may be topping on some charts, and if that's the case, I'm just waiting for the confirmation on that too. And a weaker dollar will really help a lot of these crypto. More liquidity, a weaker dollar will really help as well. Okay, that's what I'm looking at in crypto land tonight. Please be careful in these memes. Please be really careful which one you're buying as well. There are so many that have, with all the same name, all designed to trick you. But just remember, yes, you can make great money in them, but they're scalps, not investments, unless they've been around for a while and they have, a big CTO and a big team behind them. These new ones are just scalps, okay? So get out before it falls on your head.